1996 Land Cruiser, and complaint was they filled it more than one time, and the symptom was customer wrote a note and said that on hot days it would not blow cold, on cool days it would blow cold. And well, right now it's 59 degrees, 88% humidity, 59 degrees. This car just came in off the road. The customer drove it here and we just drove it into the shop. They said they replaced the receiver dryer, and looking down there, there's a brand new shiny receiver dryer. And they said it seemed to help, but I don't think that's their issue here. So let's get back to the ambient temperature. Did I say it was 59 degrees? Yes, it's 59 degrees. And what do you see wrong in this picture? If I could not blind you with the light out of the camera. Why do we have 200, almost 50 psi at an ambient temperature of 59 degrees? Do we have a clog? We got a good fan. I feel a lot of air here. So either we are overcharged, and see, I'm saying we got a good fan and it's working really good, but actually this could be working better. And interesting. Children, don't do that at home. All right, so yeah, let's do that. Wash my hand. Oh look, 300 psi. $350 psi, and I just let go of it now. Now I let go of the fan, and our temperature is falling back down. What do we got over here? Because we know the guys who use the bubble always say use the sight glass. So let's look at the sight glass. I see quite a bit of bubble in there. A lot of bubbles. So we got a very bubbly sight glass. We have a very high side. Interesting. I tested the refrigerant. 100% refrigerant, 0% air. Most likely they use pure refrigerant out of a brand new can when I see 0% air, because very few, at least older recovery machines, will always have some air inside of it, or if somebody didn't use a vacuum pump. So at least I know I have 100% refrigerant in it. Another thing I noticed, around the charge port on the low side, you could see my glowing dye in my light at my fittings, but it was glowing pretty bright inside the suction line port. When I come over here, it glows a little bit, not that strong, but it glows a little bit. So they got one of those cheap dyes that they probably got from the auto parts store, or they ordered it, but it was, you know, cheap. Save money. Remember, cheaper is always better. It's UV dye, right? It must be all the same. Money doesn't buy you anything better. Isn't that what the cheap guys say? Okay, so a very weak dye. It's one of those kind of dyes that if it had a leak and you went to look for it, if it was any kind of brightness or sun on your job and you had a cheap light, you would never find it. The benefit of having cheap dyes with cheap lights is you only find really big leaks. You don't find the small ones. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull the refrigerant out of here and measure it. But what I'm also going to do is I'm going to recommend a new thermal fan clutch. And that'll be another thing on the list to recommend, because airflow is no kosher. And with an ambient temperature of 59 degrees and a whole lot of bubbles, let's see what our refrigerant recovery says.